You know that queasy feeling? The one that hits in the pit of your stomach as you sit down to pay bills or scroll through job listings, realizing that no matter what, you're stuck on a treadmill of earning, spending, and barely scraping by. You're not alone. Millions of Americans feel trapped in the same cycle, driven by an economy that seems more interested in emptying their pockets than securing their futures. In fact, this reality isn't an accident. It's the predictable result of a 70-year policy drive that cemented corporate interests above all else. Often at the hands of the Republican Party, policies advanced under the guise of freedom and choice have gradually whittled away workers' rights and financial security, transforming the American dream into a nightmare of endless toil. Hi, I'm Holbrook, and here's what's on my mind. 70 years of policies designed to keep you in your place. From the early days of post-war America, the United States saw a gradual but powerful shift in economic and labor policies, particularly during the Reagan era. Pioneered by conservative politicians and economists, the rallying cry of the time was deregulation, a philosophy rooted in the belief that an unregulated market would benefit all. However, the reality was far different. These policies didn't open up the market. They opened up Americans to exploitation. Take the financial deregulation of the 1980s. Under Reagan, regulations that previously kept banks and investment firms in check were rolled back. This was sold to the public as a way to increase competition and lower costs. Yet it laid the groundwork for the predatory lending practices and unstable financial products that culminated in the 2008 financial crash, which devastated working Americans while leaving the wealthiest untouched. Reaganomics also introduced tax policies that disproportionately benefited the wealthy, selling Americans on the myth of trickle-down economics. Tax cuts for corporations and high earners were supposed to spur economic growth, but instead they encouraged stock buybacks, inflated CEO pay, and boosted corporate profits, while the average worker saw little to no increase in real wages. The Bush-era tax cuts and 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act continued this trend, pouring billions back into corporate coffers with minimal benefit to workers. In parallel, the assault on labor rights was relentless. Beginning with right-to-work laws, which weakened unions and lowered wages, Republican legislators at both the state and federal levels prioritized the rights of employers over those of workers. Union membership dropped, and with it the bargaining power of American workers. Without a collective voice, workers were forced into lower-paying jobs with fewer benefits, less security, and negligible retirement options. Policies designed to protect the powerful, not you. If deregulation, tax cuts, and anti-union laws were the bricks of this corporate-built labyrinth, loopholes in labor laws were the mortar. The GOP has consistently promoted legislation that limits worker protections, allowing companies to freely hire and fire without cause or penalty. Paid time off is not guaranteed by federal law, and healthcare remains employer-dependent, creating a system where workers are tied to jobs for survival. The global contrast. How other democracies treat their citizens. Other Western democracies offer a stark contrast. In countries like Germany, worker protections are built into the economy. Germany enforces layoff protections that ensure companies cannot just cast off employees without providing severance packages or valid reasons. Additionally, works councils allow workers to have a say in the day-to-day operations and policies of their employers. In the US, this idea would seem radical, even though its benefits are well documented in Europe. Healthcare is another critical area where the US lags behind. In Canada and the UK, healthcare is not tied to employment, providing a safety net that makes American-style job dependency nearly unthinkable. In the US, however, healthcare is a privilege often tethered to full-time employment, creating a situation where people are forced to stay in toxic jobs for fear of losing medical coverage. When it comes to paid family and medical leave, the US is an outlier. Sweden offers extensive parental leave, with both parents entitled to paid time off that can be taken until their child turns 8 years old. Even countries with far fewer resources than the US, like Portugal and Estonia, offer paid parental leave and protections for workers that the US doesn't even consider. This is why so many Americans feel like wage slaves. The system has been intentionally engineered to limit your choices, leaving you reliant on an employer for healthcare, retirement savings, and the mere ability to pay your rent or mortgage. You work long hours, often without guaranteed time off. And when you look around, the escape routes are blocked by crushing debt, unaffordable housing, and healthcare that costs more than most can reasonably pay. Is it really freedom if your only choice is to work until you drop? Or is it time to reconsider what American freedom truly means? Get fired up. This will not change unless you start taking action. Let your congressional representatives. You will no longer stand for being a wage slave. Support organizations like the ACLU. Remember to like and subscribe. I like to do some fun content and more socially focused content. I never know what will be rattling around my brain. How to see you again soon.